Welcome to the Tearing It Up podcast. I'm your host, Taryn. We'll be tearing it up, tearing it down, and tearing it apart, dissecting all things related to those who deviate from the standard. From leaders of their industry to leaders of mediocrity, and maybe a gear review or two thrown in. We shoot the shit and let the conversations flow, so if that's not your style, this may not be for you. Otherwise, listen in. Hope to light a fire in you somehow. Hello, everybody. We have a super special episode today for a couple of reasons. One, Amber and I are together in person. I'm like touching her. So we're really excited because we only get to do this like 1 or 2 times a year. And it's extra special because we have a guest with us. She's a returning guest. And our first ever guest who wasn't already like one of our best friends. Yeah. So we're very excited about that. So we have Tammy Jo of Outspring here with us, and she is going to give us an update on what's going on with Outspring. We'll do a little recap for you guys if you weren't able to listen and catch up or don't remember the episode. That she has a company called Outspring, and it's a would you say online retailer, or what's the define Outspring?
Outspring is a discovery platform of outdoor brands made for and by women. So it's a place to discover and be around women-forward solutions that help the outside be more accessible, comfortable, and fun.
Yes.
Thanks for having me. I'm very excited.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you back. So in the first episode we had with Tammy Jo, she was telling us how she wanted to create an event, an all women's event, or for folks identifying as women, to bring them all together, experience the outdoors, maybe even experience the products that are available on Outspring. She had a lot of different ideas. But of course, like finding a venue of the kind of the caliber she wanted to have for the event was probably, I would think, one of the biggest hurdles, because what were you talking, 200 plus folks there? Or
yes.
Ideally, dreaming.
Yes. Yeah. Finding a venue is one really critical piece to an event. It's our home. It's where we're kind of hanging out for the weekend. So the right partner is worth looking for. Mm-hmm. And we're hoping for about 500 attendees and 100 brands. That's awesome. That's our target.
That's massive. That is. So yeah, I think anyone out there can imagine how hard if you've ever planned any kind of party, how hard it would be to find a venue for 500 to 600 people. So let's just get right into it, and like where we left off of your dreaming this event up. So what were your kind of first steps into making it happen, making it a reality?
Yes. First up was really listening. Quite honestly, I held a handful of listening sessions or workshops with Jenna Selmer from Basecamp. That's where you and I met, Basecamp Outdoors, which is a really fabulous Facebook group for finding outdoor jobs. And we're both after the same mission, right? Which is to make it better for women in the outdoors and across the industry. So we got together for a few sessions. They were about an hour each, and just really listened, asked questions. And what is it that's most important right now? What would help you feel connected, feel belonging in the outdoor industry? And just listened for quite a while about that, and got some really fabulous insights and information from women who have been in the industry for decades and women who are just new and still kind of owning their outdoorsy title.
Yeah.
So it was really actually wonderful to be in those spaces. I'm new to the outdoor industry, and so it was one of the first places I felt like I belonged, that I was on equal footing with these women, regardless of our experience in the outdoor industry, that we all we're like-minded, right? We all love being outside and we love being together outside. And specifically, we love how it is when women are together. So it was really great.
That's amazing. As you mentioned, we met on that base camp Facebook group. And to give a little context, it's like Tammy said, it's an outdoor jobs board kind of, or that's how it started. But there's over 50,000 members in this group. Wow. And it is so active. I've gone through points where I've been on there like every day and just looking for, and it's not always just job postings, whether it's like you're looking for a job or hiring someone. There's a lot of people on there offering, advice or asking for advice, or people who've never been in the outdoor industry and they come on and they're like, hey, I want to get in on like in this industry, and asking for tips. So this group it's an awesome group to be a part of if you are in the industry or interested in getting into it, or you just have any questions about it. There's a lot of resources through that group.
Yeah, it's great to just get a pulse, right? Versus what the polished presentation from brands looks like, right? And it's important, right? Brands need to be conscious of their storytelling. And this is a way to just really get a pulse for what's happening out there. And there's interesting demographics in that group too. It is majority women in that.
Wow.
Facebook group, which I think is fascinating. So,
it is, yeah.
Again, great insights, great learning. So those listening sessions really taught me a lot about what I needed to prioritize and how to be thoughtful and meaningful about building an event and what it would look like.
Giving the people what they want. I mean,
that's right. That's right. And that was one of the really affirming pieces, was how much what I envisioned in that first moment when I envisioned Outspring and what it would be. It was very much what these women were asking for. They want to gather, they want to support each other, they want to learn from each other and hang out outside, right? Not in a convention hall, not in, a conference room. They want to be outside together. And so I am doing just that.
Yes. That's amazing. And I mean, the way that you've gone about doing it by having these like listening sessions and, sending out whatever surveys or asking the questions. I mean, that in itself tells anyone out there that you care about what you're doing and you're putting it on for not just yourself or to serve, a certain part of the community or industry, like just brands or something like that. Like you really care what is missing, and you're trying to fill that gap in that hole. So I just love that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That kind of care and intention takes a lot of work, right? I mean, straight up time and hours and resources, and it's worth it, in my opinion, right? It's worth it. And I hope that what it does is also call people in, right, that are interested in the same thing, right? They're interested in doing it better. They're interested in being more open and creating better spaces of belonging, and infusing that into the work that they do, in the stories that they tell, in the ways they show up in the marketplace and in their communities, right? So that's just what I'm after.
I love it so much. So you've done all these kind of sessions, gotten all your feedback. And then is that when it comes to finding the location?
Yes,
right?
yes.
That also gave you a sense of, I'm sure, like how many people are interested in this, so you could maybe better gauge, like, okay, if I'm getting a lot of feedback, I know it could be big. If I'm not getting that much, maybe we start smaller, this number and lower or whatnot. Did that help you decide how many, like to what caliber you were thinking, or did you already kind of have this large number set in your head?
A little bit of both. I was pretty set on going big. I think there's smaller niche gatherings that happen, and even if they have a similar number of people, I think it's meaningful to have that many brands in one location, right? And women owned outdoor brands in one location. And so it's helpful to just think about that by itself and to feel the power of that. And in my experience as an event producer, I've seen how numbers matter, right? In the sense that the amount of people that gather can tell you about the networking, the collaboration, what's new that comes out of it. And so I really wanted that critical mass to say, look at us all here, right? It's not just a top 10 list, right? That's one of my frustrations when I see, Women's History Month, you get 10 women brands you can support this month. And I'm like, no, there's so many more. And guess what? We all want to see each other, right? So, I get super excited about that. And so getting a bigger number is helpful. It's going to be interesting to see how to keep the relational pieces really quality. And so I'm definitely embedding that throughout the camping, the workshops, all of that, just being really thoughtful about what it is for attendees, what it is for brands or sponsors, so that it's meaningful relationships. It's not just lots of them, right? So all of this is a lot. And I'll take it back to the point, which was, where are we going to do this? How is this going to happen? So that was one big question I would ask every time in the workshops was, do you have a home for us, right? Do you know of a place that fits this, what we're after? And I mean, I had this list. I was like, it needs to be beautiful. There needs to be water and trees and trails. And, it's got to have good partnership, right? It's got to have folks that are really interested in aligning with the mission and making it better for women to get outside, right? Because it doesn't feel good to be in a space that doesn't support that. Then there's also the travel, right? If we're looking at it from a nationwide perspective, it needs to be kind of in proximity to airports, but still feel like nature. And I needed it to be scalable, right? Because your question around like go big or go home, right, is a lot of money. So what is it an affordable place, not just for the event costs, but then for folks to travel there? Can you see my list is getting really long?
Absolutely.
So all of those factors were important in coming up with a place, and I got a handful of recommendations. I also was really in the midst of trying to understand the policies that are happening in some of these states. And
that's heavy.
It is heavy. And I really can't be in a place that is really dangerous and that they're, so I recognize that that's complicated, and it's not always easy to see that whole picture. And sometimes we're kind of choosing our battles, but that was part of the evaluation, is to think about safety for folks.
That's amazing. And I think that's a really good point. And so we were talking a little bit before we started recording off air about just things that men still don't realize we as women go through, like harassment or being hit on by somebody. Just all of it means like feeling safe. And many people, I mean, even many women, I'm sure, wouldn't even think that would be something that would need to cross your mind when putting on such an event. But a women's only event, and especially in the sad state of our 2023 world, that women are dealing with these things still. Because honestly, I don't know if that would have crossed my mind. Like, I don't, maybe if I got to the point of like planning something outside of my state, but I am definitely in a bubble being in the West of not having to worry about it directly so much. So I really appreciate that, and you just bringing that point up so that it is, hopefully on my forefront of things for just being conscious about when I'm traveling anywhere or setting up anything or talking to people from an area. Like, they may be in some harsh realities themselves.
Yeah. So creating spaces where we can be outside with each other and feel like we belong, right? I mean, that at its core has safety, but it also has joy, and it also has celebration and, playing together and learning together and supporting each other, right? It has so many elements. So
and honoring the space too.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
you were able to find a place that checked all the boxes?
Oh my goodness. Yes. So I had a really supportive and just wonderful relationship with Visit Ogden. So it was a surprise location for me, but Ogden, their team, the team at Visit Ogden was just absolutely incredible and really seeing everything that I was after and really answering my questions around all of these factors, right? What is the space? What is it like? Do we have enough? Can we have a dance party at night? Like, all the pieces, right? And the team there was just fantastic. Millie Stewart had come to one of the working sessions or the workshops and was just kept showing up and saying, I can help find the avenues, and she has facilitated a great number of partnerships. So we will be at Weber County's North Fork Park, which is nestled in the valley, Ogden Valley, and it is an international dark sky park, which I am just so thrilled about. I've been doing a series on our Instagram this week about all the reasons why I love this venue, and
I've been seeing that. I love it. Tell us a little bit. I don't want to cut you off. You can come back to it, but I want to know more about what it means to be a what'd you say?
Dark sky park, right? So, we just have a lot of light pollution across our planet, and there are few places where you can really have it be fully dark and really see the night sky. And so Ogden Valley is one of those locations. I think they got their designation just a handful of years ago, and they've been working really hard to maintain that and cultivate that across the whole valley so that you can get out there and really see an amazing night sky. It also is a new moon, which, should be darker for us. We're hoping to work with Weber State and find some astronomers to come and give us a little bit of sky tours and things like that. So I'm just so thrilled about that particular aspect. I think it really lends itself to being magical.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I have spent some time in Ogden, not like much time. I've been to a couple retreats around the Ogden area. I think it was with Ann. She's dope too. I think maybe there's just one in Ogden. And then we've been up to Powder Mountain a handful of times. And so Ogden's really close to there. So it's beautiful. I mean, it's just so different for us where we come from, like in Washington, especially all the green and all that. Just Utah is such a different kind of scenery and beauty because of all of its rock. And I mean, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like where you're at, and I've been to Moab too. I always just picture Utah as Moab.
Well, this is not too far. Yeah, this is not too far from Powder Mountain. So it's kind of up in that area. So it's just gorgeous. And like I said, the Visit Ogden team just showed me around and really showcased the work and intention that the community is doing to be thoughtful about their outdoor experience and really showcase the outdoors in a thoughtful and thriving sort of way. So I'm just super excited.
Heck yeah. So I'm excited too to keep following your series of like all the fun stuff that is going to happen there and just the setup of it. I saw like different camping options. So Amber and I are already like planning our podcast retreat out there.
Excellent.
Yeah,
I
we're
would
like, okay, like why the heck? Like we should be planning for this and we can like, be there, have a live recording or something. And
absolutely.
so we're just loving the idea of this. So coming to that kind of segues into who's invited. How do you like, is this open to anybody? Let's start with the brands, actually. I'm curious into how you're inviting brands or deciding. Do you have a list already that you definitely want there? Or is it like if any brand came to you, how do they get in?
How do they get in, right? So, the Outspring is a directory of women-owned outdoor brands, right? So what does that mean? And it ranges based on the size of a company and kind of how they're built. So really it's looking at, have you been thinking about it? Is there a predominantly balanced leadership, or is it specifically women founded or women owned? And presuming that you're, looking towards women forward solutions in your products and in your services, right? So anyone who fits that category, any brand that fits that category is really what we're looking for. And so if that is aligned with your mission and what you're up to, then come on, let's work on this together. I like to talk about this from the aspect of building a new table, right? So if women are aiming to get a seat at the table, whether that's the funding table or visibility or whatever it is, it feels like we're just an afterthought in this process. And so I'm actually after building a new table, right? Yeah. Like I'm after building a place that doesn't presume there isn't space for us, that doesn't start with a rickety chair, right? So I'm calling in anyone who wants to build a table, right, with me. And I can get super excited about that piece. I have spoken with a lot of founders from brands that are very excited about it, and particularly they're interested in having these deeper relationships, right? It's hard to kind of work through the algorithm. The visibility is just really challenging,
especially for those small, like niche brands, which are a lot of women-owned brands that I follow. They don't have a budget for some of the marketing things that bigger brands have either, or just the reach, the algorithm, like that's huge for them to have something like this to get a reach.
So this is a really focused group, right? Really focused group of attendees that are also interested in the same thing and really, really looking for ways to make it better, right? They're looking for pockets.
Yes.
Yeah.
They just want pockets they can fit their whole hand in, right? They want films like with seeing themselves in that, right? In those stories. They want, sleeping mats that are shaped for their body, right? So I think I think if those are the kinds of things you're making, like that's what we want to see there.
We're all just trying to relate to somebody else and not feel so alone in whatever kind of feelings we have. And so when there's companies out there that represent how you feel or see or what you use or need, it's just amazing, because we don't have a lot of that stuff. I mean, we could find people that fill those, but I think it's been a real struggle to find functional gear and equipment that don't make you feel like a lesser human being because they don't make your size or whatever. Like it's very, very interesting. These are just personal feelings of, as I've gotten older, like I never felt really left out or like I didn't belong until I got to my 30s and my body changed a little more. And I'm like, wait, I feel like I'm being actually pushed out of this place I've been in for my whole life, because now I'm like not finding the stuff that I need or that makes me feel comfortable. And then people just want to stop looking. So for people who are newer to the outdoor industry or want to get into it, I can't imagine the like discouragement they can feel trying to break through. And when you come along and create something like this that they feel like they're a part of and can discover more and find that there is stuff out there, that's just again amazing.
And a key piece of that, I think, is the learning together that I'm really aiming for, is really inviting brands to be thoughtful about how they present themselves on site, right? Like that they are teaching, they are sharing, they are showing, demonstrating, working together, right? It's one thing to just be able to buy pants on Amazon or something like that, and that's not what we're after, right? We need, like, it's touching them, it's feeling, it's making sure there is the right fit, because the number of returns I go through on trying to really solve a problem that I have is frustrating. And so this is a chance to say, it's not just walking by booths in a market. This is how are we playing, right? Show us how it's done, explain how it's made. And maybe that includes actually playing together, right? So that's what I'm after.
That's a huge piece and component. We just did an episode recently about body image, just Amber and I kind of sharing our own experience. And that is something that I talked about, that it's so hard and frustrating to find the stuff that fits, because in a lot of stores, like the size I need isn't in stock and you have to order it because maybe the brand doesn't make enough of them or the stores don't sell enough of them to order. And I can understand that's a tough place to be in and it's hard to figure it out. But damn, is it frustrating. And again, just another discouraging factor for me to even want to spend the money.
Yes.
Because I'm going to have to most likely go through a return. And just before coming over here, actually, I put a shirt on of a style that I already had, but it's like a new year. So I'm like, oh, I hope they didn't change anything, like adjust the lengths or anything like that. I hope it fits the same. And I put it on and the sleeves felt a little bit shorter. I mean, they're not terrible, but I like long sleeves. I'm like, I swear the version I have is longer. And how could my arms have grown in length? Like, what in my body changed to make like sleeves feel so short? I'm like checking in all these spots. I'm like, no, it's not tight there. So it couldn't just be that my arms grew around my bicep or something. Like, did they just make it shorter? And I was just so frustrated of like,
and confused, like,
so confused. Why did this change? Also, it's an extra large, so why is it only big in like a certain area? Like, there's many types of women's bodies, but I'm starting to feel like, as shopping for extra large tops, it's only in the like torso that it's bigger. Like, do you not realize that extra large women are also tall and have long limbs? Like, I just feel like it's off a stereotype of a shorter, like thicker version of a woman, instead of like, no, you could, there's so many ways we could do, like, why does it have to be there? Either, I know it's hard to get more options, but it's just like, oh my God, I'm just so over this.
And again,
people could try.
Well, yes. And it's also important to have that feedback loop. And I think that's one of the great things about connecting with, having those moments of connection between women who are looking for these solutions and the people who are designing it and making it, right? So it's closer, real in-person interactions for learning for both sides, right?
Yeah. It also offers an opportunity for brands to see this for themselves in person, instead of get a review online of me saying, oh, the sleeves are too short, and it being relative, right? If someone saw me in it, they may think like, no, they're not, like they're sleeves, like they don't need to come to your knuckles or whatever. But I think seeing people in the way fits are could help, like, oh yeah, it really is interesting there, and it's not just their like crazy perspective. Like, I'm visually seeing this is not right, and this is what we could change or not change, because pictures don't do it justice, and neither do just words from one side of the computer. So,
and we've got lots of room for growth on all of these aspects, right?
Absolutely.
Ways we can make it better.
Yeah. So the brands, what do you envision them doing there, as far as like maybe some demos or something? What do you think there will be some brands who are selling product, or is it really just kind of for show? Okay.
Yes,
so
it definitely is marketplace in that sense, because I think that's important, right? I think it's one of the things the outdoor industry is trying to figure out, right? Because they're the large industry events that have historically been the place for, where the outdoor industry gathers, are shifting to a more consumer-based model, because they're trying to really address the change in the market. And I think particularly with small businesses, that game it's just a different game, right? To be at wholesale, to be doing those things. I think there's a lot more accessibility for folks doing direct to consumer products. And in addition, I think what it also is a little narrow-minded about is that there's so much more than just products, right? Gear and apparel, right? It is also the services that are surrounding. It is the storytelling. It is the experiences that round out. And I think that's one of the interesting things about what women want in their relationship with the outdoors. Isn't just the hot, flashy new thing, new gear toy, right? It's the community, it's the experiences, it's the getting out together and riding the trails together. And so there are a lot of brands out there offering that. And so if we can get that together, then we can have more access to these fun adventures that are happening. So it's looking at the broader adjacent things that are also needed.
That's just so great. So great. So we know what our list is, our requirement, our checkbox for brands now. As the general public, who's invited?
Who's invited? Any women that love to get outside, that love to play and share and learn and celebrate together in nature, and just are really after deeper connections with themselves, with nature, and with each other. That is really what I have found has been so magical.
Yes.
So you heard it. Anyone can go. I mean, we'll talk more about how and when you could get tickets or anything like that. But speaking of when, actually, I don't think we talked about when it is. We talked about where, who, when.
Yes.
There's a date.
There is a date, September 15th through the 17th. So beautiful fall colors. Currently the valley is like under several feet of snow still. So it'll be a very glorious fall, I'm certain. So
yes. I know Utah has gotten a lot of snow this year too. I'm not sure like compared to Tahoe how much, but I just know they've been getting hammered too and are just buried, and it's been snowing well into their spring. It snowed today in Tahoe like 4 to 6 inches. So I was just like, I'm glad I'm not home.
That is one of the tricky parts of events, right? Is trying to really respond to just other impacts. And so choosing the fall was intentional for a lot of reasons. And weather is definitely one of them.
Yeah, you can usually be in a all right place where it's not going to be too hot, not too cold. Like you may get those cold nights out there in the desert area. Well, I don't know if it's really considered the desert. Like I said, I just have this biased opinion of Utah and always calling it the desert, but I don't. But yeah,
this is very mountains. This is
mostly rain. I was gonna say anything that doesn't get mostly rain is like desert to us.
To us,
Washingtonians.
Right. The legend goes that the peak that is right near the valley where we are, it's Ben Lomond Peak, is the inspiration for the Paramount logo. the movie
Oh,
logo. Yes, So the Legend Goes.
wow.
Um, so that trail is right next to where we'll be camping. There are about 20 miles of trails that you can head out directly from the campsite. And so it's just a beautiful location.
That's awesome. If we could, I mean, while we have you, maybe talk a couple details, the stuff that you've shared already on Instagram, like what the camping situations are gonna be like. Any details, I guess, that you already have and you're ready to share about
Yeah.
what's gonna go on this weekend.
Yeah, so having a variety of camping options was important for a lot of reasons. Folks need different things depending on their gear, their level of experience, or just their preferences. And so, generally, it's festival style camping. So that means we're pretty tight on a lawn, like hanging out, camping together. There's also a handful of campsites that are more for groups of up to 8. So those are a bit more tucked into the valley. There's a handful of those. And there are 3 yurts available that have bunk beds and, just a little bit more enclosed area, if that's your style. And then in the surrounding area, there's great accommodations at hotels if straight up camping isn't your thing, but nature is what you love, because we all get outside in different ways. So there's some beautiful bed and breakfasts and just, adorable places to stay right nearby.
That's awesome. I never know how I want to camp at those things. I mean, up until last year, I had a truck with a camper shell.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'd go, I'd pack all my camp stuff, like my tent and everything, but also, be like, wow, I could also just sleep in my truck where I don't have to set anything up.
Yes.
And that's always kind of nice and easy too. But I love sleeping in a tent. I just get a little lazy sometimes.
Yeah.
And I stay like just a touch warmer in the truck, off the ground, things like that.
I don't think
But
it's lazy. I don't think it's lazy. I think it's just liking variety, right?
Yes.
I mean, sometimes just having different options is fun. So there will be room for RVs and vans that are probably 20 feet, I think, is as long as we're going to go. I've got to still kind of sort that out, but there will be room for those as well.
Very cool. Very cool. And so we've got camping, and you said there's 20 miles of trails just right from the park. Are these all
just right there? Yeah.
And they're all usage, like hiking, biking, or
Mm-hmm. Yep. Hiking, biking. There is a fat tire trail that's out there. I'm new to fat tire biking, so I don't fully understand what that means. I know it's mostly a winter sport, but I think you can also do it in the summertime, and that's a newish type of thing. Some of the trails are for horses as well. We won't be having quite the setup for horses just because that footprint's pretty big.
Yes.
So, but you can. There are also horses out on the trail as well, and the trail organization that's there in northern Utah is just doing fantastic work with a shoreline trail and just really being thoughtful about the impact of use, because they've had a huge increase in usage over the last few years, and so they're redesigning some of their trails to keep the ecosystem a little bit more supported in the process. So
awesome. Do you know what shore the trail would be on?
Right, it's like Bonneville. I think it's called Bonneville Shore Trail or something like that. It's an ancient, or sorry, I'm using it. You're gonna have to look it up. I'll tell you that.
Is it like on a lake or like why is it called a shoreline? Or is it
it's like an old riverbed from a long time ago. Or sorry, not riverbed, lake bed from a long time ago.
Okay, cool. I was like, wait, are we talking like some dips in a river or a lake? Or I had kind of a feeling that in that area it was maybe at one point a shoreline.
Yeah. It's it's called the Shoreline Trail, and it's just an old, bring your geologist friend who knows
Yeah,
more about
totally.
those kinds of
Find some
things.
fossils or something.
Yes.
That's
Again,
great.
like we are working alongside some of the local organizations that do have deeper expertise than I do. So I'm really excited about elevating that, sharing that.
Yeah, totally. Well, yeah, we got a few months to be able to focus on some of these things, introduce them, like, and show people, give people more detail on the aspects of the event and the trails and whatnot. I want to go so bad.
Yeah,
I'm already just thinking about it. I want to bring my bike. I just want to go for a weekend.
Like, you think you would drive your bike? I don't know if I would want to make the drive all the way from Washington, but we'll see.
You can fly to Tahoe and then we'll drive there.
Okay, sweet. And then what about like renting bikes or equipment for people who do fly?
Yep. So I have a long dream list of all the things that I'm orchestrating, and this is a first year, so I've got to be conscious about moving without trying to make too many things happen. It will depend on partnerships, and it will depend on kind of local groups that have those resources in play. And there are I've got some really good leads, and I've really got some supportive folks that are on board. So stay tuned. But in terms of flying, right? So there is a train that comes from the Salt Lake Airport that gets to Ogden Valley. To Ogden. And I'm looking to do some shuttle service between the train station and the camping location. Again, just really trying to be thoughtful about how can we really bring all the folks that want to come.
Absolutely.
And I want to share one exciting piece of news. We just got a grant that is for specifically for BIPOC folks to come, right? Really, it's a scholarship for folks that would like to come but wouldn't be able to otherwise. So we'll be posting that pretty soon. And again, our hosts are really keen on making this be accessible and available for a wide variety of people. So there'll be scholarships for both brands and for attendees.
Oh, cool. That is so awesome. I can't wait to be able to share that information with people on how to, I'm assuming there will be application process, because I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of people interested in the grant. Probably wasn't that generous, but I'm sure generous. But I mean,
you can only do so much.
Absolutely. I mean, like you said, your first year, and so it's already amazing in what you have set up, what you have planned, and there's only room to grow. So that's what's really exciting about it.
That's right. And again, like, just really looking for folks who want to build it with me, right? It's not just it takes a village.
Yes, absolutely. And if you build it, they will come. Or like, hopefully, right?
Also, what is on your to-do list? What are your next moves? How are you feeling? All the questions.
All the questions. Those, oh boy. It's a lot. It's a lot to put on an event, to build a new event. And I've actually gotten some experience in my producer life, hosting new events. And so I'm learning a lot. Being an entrepreneur means learning a lot and doing all the things, I'm sure you know. So what's on my plate and how I'm feeling is simultaneously thrilled and terrified.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of us just go through daily life like that, but
but I think it also, I feel the life inside of me about this, and that is what keeps me after it. And so in preparation for today's call, I got the ticketing site up. So that is like a major win. So it is ready to go. You can get tickets right now at theoutspring.com/swell23. Oh, I also just dropped the name of our event. It's called Swell.
I was just going to say, like, what does Swell mean? I love that name so much, because it just reminds me of the water, and that's a part of me. So what does that mean to you? How did you come on this name?
Swell, right? So Outspring is about water, right? Water is one of the unifying things of any outdoor experience. And so what does water look like when it's together, when it's in, in a group? And I love the double meaning of Swell, that it is also fun and playful.
Yeah.
And it is well, right?
Yeah.
Like and that building. Also.
It's swell and
yes.
and the swell gets big and it grows and it rocks the socks off of people.
Thank you. Will you write copy for me? Because that's one of the things that is also terrifying.
That's my day job, actually.
Oh, great. Yeah. So Swell is where we're after. I just did I just got the branding all together. So that's a huge relief. And it really is starting to just get down to the nitty gritty of enrolling, inviting folks to come along for the ride.
That is amazing.
Bravo.
So yeah, we'll link that in the show notes for sure, where you can just get tickets right now, or at least have it on your radar, check things out. Obviously keep following Tammy, or start if you haven't, so you can see updates through Instagram and whatnot. Hopefully, I mean, it's May now, so you have June, July, August, 3 months. So you have a lot to do in the next 3 months.
Yes, I do.
Don't know if we'll be able to get you down for another last minute update before the event, but we'll definitely be staying in touch to see if we might be able to have another quick episode for a last update before the event thing. And then in our dreams, we will just fucking be there.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely. Yeah. I would love a live podcast happening there. That would be fantastic.
The first thing I do when we get off here is go into the website, the outspring.com/swell23. Before we jump off, Tammy, is there anything you want to leave us with at all?
Well, my name's Tammy Jo Benson. I'm founder of Outspring, and I am just thrilled to invite you to Swell 23, which is a 3-day weekend of like-minded women camping together, celebrating, having a great time, and learning about women-forward solutions that help you get outside. Right now, if you go to the outspring.com/swell23, you can find our early bird tickets, which come with a gift pack that you'll get when you arrive on site, which is a pack of women-owned brands that we've put together. So there'll be a little gift package for folks who were early believers in this vision. Yeah, so those tickets are available right now.
Yeah. Very cool. We are going to check them out right now. Everything will be linked in the show notes. Tammy Jo's Instagram, the website, the specific ticket site, all that good stuff. And we hope to, like I said, be able to talk to you one more time. But if not, for sure at the event.
We will see you there.
Yes. So stay tuned, everybody, for more information on this awesome dream becoming a reality. And we will talk to you all next week. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and would do us a huge favor, since we don't have any sponsors or anything like that, and would rate and review us on whatever platform it is you use, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, whatever it is. And if you're listening and downloading just through the website, tearingituppodcast.com, leave comments. We'll definitely engage back with you. And on social media right now, we're just on Instagram. Tearing It Up Podcast is the handle. Like the post, share the post, comment on the post, whatever it is you got. Show us your love so we just stay relevant and show up in the rankings at all. So again, rate and review, please. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.